Microsoft Ventures. He's got a variety of experience in venture capital, investment banking, business development, and he's going to talk about the story of how they very rapidly started up in Microsoft Ventures and brought some of the innovation benefits to the company. So please help me welcome Leo.
I really appreciate everyone sticking around. I think we're end of the day, so when I saw that as keynote, I was like, gosh, how full will the room be? And it's pretty full, so thank you. My name is Leo DeLuna. I'm a managing director of Microsoft Ventures. I lead US investing for Microsoft Ventures. We are a new entity. Microsoft has had many touch points before with the very important startup ecosystem, but never have we had a traditional venture fund that was authentic and was an equity participant. We've had a program to support the accelerators with startups, and we've had a much later stage capacity out of our corp dev group that invests in companies when they're already a partner with Microsoft. But until 12 months ago, we hadn't had this capability. So let me walk you through the learnings of the 12 months, give you a roadmap for those of you who are interested in potentially starting up a corporate venture fund within your company, and then talk to you about the innovations that we've seen by doing this. So let me start with where we are today, actually. So I'll just fast forward of what we've done so far. So in less than 12 months, we've done, and today actually, closed investment number 31. That's a very rapid pace by most accounts. And we're not doing small checks, mind you. We're taking board observer seats, we're writing checks between $2 to $10 million. Here are the fantastic teams that we've backed. There are 26 names, so these are the ones that have been announced. There are a few others that have yet to be announced or in stealth mode. So from here on, I want to give you context of how do we get here? What were the ingredients and structural things we had to put in place? And I want to make this interactive. So rather than doing questions at the end, you should feel free to raise your hand and just ask, why did you guys do this, and how should we think about doing it? So first thing you need to decide is, why should you invest? Why is it important? What are the guiding principles for doing it? You know, some CVCs, so corporate venture capital funds, are purely financial, one end of the spectrum. Other end of the spectrum, completely strategic and may not care about valuation. We're more on the financial side, but the way we think about this within Microsoft is the reasons for doing this threefold. One, we want to detect signal. Me and my team have 3 customers within Microsoft. One is Amy Hood, our CFO. She gives us the cash and the opportunity to put the money to work, and so she wants a financial return for that, as any good CFO is thinking about. Second are our product teams and our business development teams. They want access to great ideas and to innovation, and so when we see all the companies that we do on a daily basis, we actually feed that back to our product teams and our BD teams and give them the choice of who they want to work with. And then last is our senior leadership team and our CEO, Satya, and his direct reports. He's saying, give me G2, I can't get anywhere else, right? And let's not miss the next big trend, and let's not miss mobile. So detect signal is one important thing. The other is be part of the conversation. As I opened up, Satya, as he is so terrific at doing, listened when he first took the position and did a tour of the key ecosystems around the startup community and just came to the conclusion that Microsoft wasn't a direct participant and wasn't an authentic participant and wasn't part of the conversation. So being an equity participant, we are part of that conversation. We do sit on boards. We are very active. And importantly, my team are all ex-venture capitalists, so that's our DNA to be part of the conversation. And then create efficiencies in the end. We want to be that routing function within Microsoft. We want to take startups, ideas, and companies outside and then route them to the right people within Microsoft so they can collaborate. So that's why we decided to invest. This is not really a part one, part two. These are probably together, but of course you need to secure your executive sponsor. And we are fortunate that our CEO is our executive sponsor, along with Peggy Johnson, who runs all of business development for Microsoft. And Peggy, I should add, is charged with driving innovation and driving the growth within Microsoft. So when you are thinking about starting up a corporate venture fund, you should ask yourself, who do we report up to? We're fortunate that we do that in the BD group because we're aligned in setting up growth and looking many years out to drive innovation. Other groups will report to the CFO, and there's trade-offs there, right? You obviously are reporting to someone that has the money, but most CFOs, unless they're a strategic CEO, are more focused probably on quarter-to-quarter results, and may not have the luxury of thinking more long-term. Because as Satya told us, right, the reason for your being is I want you to influence Microsoft. Think longer term. And then as a side, he said, hey, I want you to agitate. And if you make any of my really smart engineers feel uncomfortable, that's the least of my worries. Because you should agitate with great ideas. Then how do you operationalize this? And it all starts with a great world-class team, and I'm very proud of the team we've hired. We made it a point that the investment team needed to come from the outside of Microsoft. While we've got fantastic, great, smart engineers, we didn't think it was appropriate for our engineering teams to run a venture fund. And so I've been doing venture capital since 1999 at traditional venture funds. I've got my colleagues and my partners who came from other traditional VCs, so financial VCs, or other corporates. And then my boss is on the bottom right, bottom left in the olive shirt, Nagraj Kashyap. He came from Qualcomm Ventures, where he built that over 12 years, from nothing to an entity that was deploying about $250 million a year, and he had 7 country heads reporting to him. But more importantly than that, he developed a team and an ethos that delivered a great commitment and service to the community. So they were generating great financial returns from the Series A level, but also were a great corporate citizen. Our team is also diverse. I think that's important to think about. Most venture teams are very homogenous, and just in terms of male-dominated teams. I think having diversity of thought and ideas is important in a venture fund. So if you have that ability, like we have, to attract really bright people, we made it a point that diversity and inclusion was important to us. Now we want to talk about operationalizing kind of the bigger themes. We wanted to focus the first time on early stage, so we do Series A through D. Our check sizes are between 2 to 10. We average about 5. That's the ideal for us. And then importantly, we said, hey, our go-to-market is we need a financial lead. So we would want that traditional VC in, and this is important because we don't want to be in that camp of, hey, you're a strategic and we're inviting you in the deal because you will pay up for valuation. So we're very sensitive to that. We've told entrepreneurs no. We've passed on deals, and sometimes they don't get it. They've told us, wait a minute, you're a strategic. You shouldn't care about valuation. Well, we should, and this is why. We believe in order to deliver on the promise of strategic benefit to Microsoft, we feel that a company needs to be run fiscally responsible. And if you're financially disciplined, and you will then be around to deliver on that financial promise. We just think it's better. It's a better operating principle. Our last piece is very important to us, and this is actually what we call our secret weapon. If you've worked with, if you've given money or received money or taken money from most corporates, there's always been the promise of we will get you X, Y, and Z after the investment, and we will deliver that strategic value. And being on the other side of the table, frankly, I just haven't seen it with my portfolio companies. I've just seen it as a lost opportunity. Because while the investment people or investment team is well-intentioned at most corporate investors, they can't deliver on the back-end promise. So rather than that having been an unfulfilled promise, we said, hey, that's an opportunity for us to create value. So while the investment team at Microsoft Ventures is all externally sourced, we do have a business development team of 4 people who are from Microsoft, about 4 to 12 years. And so they know how to navigate a very large organization like Microsoft, which is really the hard part. And when a company joins our portfolio, joins our family, they get assigned a business development manager, much like an account manager model. And so someone owns a relationship within Microsoft, and someone has a responsibility of delivering that value in the back end. So we've done 31 investments of the first cohort, call it the first 10. We can now point to 2 or 3 specific examples per company that our business development team has facilitated. So an integration with specific products, an integration to our cloud, and what every company wants from Microsoft is access to our 40,000 plus sellers, so go-to-market support. And we've shown we can get that for them. So we just believe when we pull that business development lever, there should be a material increase in enterprise value for the company. Selfishly, that accrues to us who's on the cap table as equity holders, and then it also accrues to our co-investors, and so they see the benefit of that. And I'll tell you why that's important in the next slide. Next, you should play to your strengths. You should know who you are, like I said, why you're doing it, but then what could you give on the back end? So we focus on 6 areas. Business SaaS, cloud infrastructure, it relates to the migration to the cloud and using Azure. Productivity, we have a theme around the future of work. And so that leverages our Office 365 and Dynamics 365 franchises. Then big data and machine learning, I'll lump those together. We think we've got some of the best minds in the world at Microsoft Research and at our product teams working on those opportunities. And I think when you apply AI and ML to specific verticals and use cases, it unlocks a lot of value. And then security as the last piece is actually very foundational for us. So we will reach into Microsoft and the organization once a company is part of the portfolio and then plug them into one of those 6 categories, because we've also found those are the very receptive teams in the Microsoft that says, give me signal. I want to work with your portfolio companies, and I want to take that innovation in. If you are in a different space, a different industry, you should play to your strengths, right? There's Monsanto Ventures, who's great in their category. And then there's many other corporate venture funds. The automotive companies have their own venture funds. So that's something that we would never be good at. And then the way we then advertise that to our portfolio companies, our prospective portfolio companies, is I say, you should take our money because I will give you unfair access to the best B2B assets in the world. And you guys can steal that line and say, I will give you unfair access to the something assets in your corporation. But we can't deliver unfair outcome, right? The unfair outcome piece is on the portfolio company. But unfair access, I think, goes a long way. If you're pitching a corporate venture fund, that is probably your key value add. Just remember, you have to deliver on that to continue getting the goodness of other financings and other invites to other deals and be viewed as a value add in the investor network. So I just wanted to categorize our portfolio companies in these 6 different segments. You can see a good distribution of them. We think that's important for signal, right? I talked about why do this. If you invest in one company, that won't generate good signals. You have to invest in more than one, obviously. And so as we build across multiple years, we'll populate more companies in each of those areas, and that should generate good signal for us. I want to switch gears and talk about the investment side, and I want to talk then the innovation benefits to why we're doing this. I'm going to draw on a few examples. First one is a company called Layer. Layer is a messaging company. It's messaging as a service for app developers. So it's saying you, Mr. App Developer, should differentiate and spend your time on building the things that differentiate your app versus worrying about the in-app conversations or messaging infrastructure. And so the way Layer brought innovation to Microsoft is at the World Economic Forum in January, where you've got 3,000 attendees from 100 companies speaking every language. Layer and Microsoft paired together to allow translation in real time. And so Layer was the infrastructure. It partnered with embedded Microsoft's translation API. And in real time, a person reaching out to another delegate, a delegate could reach out in her native language to another delegate, and it'd be instant translation, and they would receive it in their native language. And that increased by 2x the number of messages that were sent back and forth during Davos, and very importantly, was there to create those very important bridges between delegates. Another company is Maluba, and this is unique in that it started off as an investment opportunity, but then ended up as a acquisition. So Maluba, based in Montreal, is a deep learning lab with terrific connections to academia. Also, it is supported by Yoshua Bengio, who's one of the fathers of deep learning. And originally, it started off with, hey, maybe this could be a potential investment for Microsoft Ventures. We saw the benefit very quickly of, you know what, this is actually such a core asset for us, that it then flipped to an M&A discussion. It got introduced to our business development team. They took it from there. We brokered the relationship and made sure that the founder felt very comfortable continuing on that path. and then we closed the acquisition in February. And it is now very core to what we're trying to do in AI and machine learning. And then just wanted to continue on the AI theme. We did launch an AI fund, so we picked to our strengths, right? As I said, we've got some great AI resources. We have a separate AI fund. The first investment out of that AI fund is a company called Element AI. Element AI is an incubator in Montreal. It works with companies, large corporations typically, that don't have AI resources but want to implement AI. And so large corporations are their clients, and they'll build AI-first solutions for corporations. They went from 15 PhDs when we first invested 6 months ago. Now they have a staff of 40. So they've got, and people is the key asset in AI, as you know. So we're very excited about Element AI. Of course, that's Joshua, who has been involved in both these, and as I said, is central to the AI movement. So that is the end of my presentation. I did want to leave time for Q&A. And of course, if you'd like, feel free to reach out to me at Leo at Microsoft Ventures for any questions. Turn it over. Thank you very much, and open it up for Q&A.